Raw counts aren't particularly useful because the area can drive what we would expect to see for counts. A very large area, you might expect to have a lot of counts, but you could have a very, very small economic zone with a lot of piracy acts, so the density would be high. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to normalize the counts by calculating density, piracy points per unit area. To do that, we're going to add a couple of fields. You might say, what data set do I work with? We don't need this one anymore because this is our joined economic zone data where we have the count field. So this is the one we want to use from now on. So I'm going to open the attribute table and we're going to add a couple of fields. We need a field for area because I always like to recalculate my area so that I know that I'm getting the most updated count and I can control for the units. And I want to add a new field in which I'm going to calculate the density. I'm going to divide the count by the area of each economic zone. So we're going to go in and add, which opens up the field view. I just added an area underscore kilometers squared. I made it type float, and then I also want to create one that says some abbreviation for incidence per kilometer. And always like to make these float so I don't ever run out of space if my numbers have a lot of characters. Okay, go ahead and save our changes and then we'll close the field view and go back over to make sure that our fields have been added correctly. They look good. So I'm going to calculate the area in the calculate geometry tool. I do want to calculate area geodesically so that I'm not forced to use a projection, which could introduce some distortion. I'm going to use the curved surface. You would have to fill in here that you want to calculate in square kilometers. Run that. When the calculation is done running, you could try sorting it, ascending or descending, and zooming to different locations on the map to verify that the math was done correctly. Now we're going to calculate our density, and to do that we're going to be dividing two fields. So this is called a field calculation, or calculate field. And this is going to allow us to divide the count by the area of each zone. So we're going to double click. I recommend not ever trying to type into this box or copy and paste into it because the formatting is very picky. And so this is one of those instances where I really like to use Esri so that they can do the formatting that they require. So I'm going to double click to add my joint count field, double click. Whoop. Sometimes you have to double click the math symbol, sometimes you don't. Apparently this time I don't. And double click my area, and that's it. All right, so here's our calculation of density. I'm going to sort it descending. So these are the most dense areas here. And